Okay, so today we are taking a look at the B36TP variant of the Bonanza, or Beechcraft Bonanza, in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. So this is the turboprop variant of the Bonanza. So it's going to differ quite a lot from the normally, or the normally aspirated version, then, shall we say, than the rotary engine version. Let's go and make sure that the live stream is working. I'm juggling several things here out of shot that you don't get to see, which is always fun. Okay, so rather than use that view, we're going to go over to the drone camera view, and I'll just slow it down and we're going to have a look around. So how is this different than the A36? So this is the B36TP. It's significantly different. Basically everything from the bulkhead forwards on the aeroplane is completely and utterly different, meaning it's much faster, can go to higher altitude, and can carry heavier loads because it has a completely different engine strapped onto the front of it. So rather than being a combustion engine, it's a gas turbine. So if you've never seen a turboprop, or you never understood what the actual difference is and how it can be a jet engine, you have to imagine, we can't open it up on this, which is a bit of a shame, but there is a diagram in the cockpit actually. Imagine you've got a gas turbine sat in here facing the opposite way than normal. So it sucks air in through these vents into the gas turbine, and the exhaust is then pushed out backwards. And the hot air from the gas turbine drives a kind of an impeller, I guess, which drives the propeller. But the gearbox where that is can obviously withstand an enormous amount of torque from that jet engine. So you do have to be careful about over-torquing turboprops for that very reason. But yeah, if we just quickly scan around the airplane, you can see it's wonderfully built, just like all of the rest of the Black Square airplanes. If we go and have a little look around, I mean, that's stunning, isn't it? They've put the mirroring into the lights, so it's actually reflecting the scenery. Very clever. So obviously, because it's a turboprop, means the cockpit's going to be slightly different as well. So rather than having mixture, you've got a condition lever, and rather than having fuel pumps and so on, you still have got fuel pumps, but you've also got an ignition system and a starter system. And in terms of gauges, it's going to be different. You've got torque at the top, and then you've got inter-turbine temperature. Then you've got the gas RPM, or generator RPM. And then you've got the propeller RPM, and then the engine oil temperatures and pressures. So the rest of it is going to be very, very similar. But when you look at the speeds that this thing's capable of, yeah, it's different. So we're going to take it for a fly, just to see how we get on with it. I may go up and do some stall tests and things like that, which I completely forgot to do with the normal version of the Bonanza. So we'll see how we go. I am running Say Intentions in the background, but I'm going to stay on common traffic advisory frequency today, so we won't get the flight following chatter from all of the other aircraft overhead, because that can be, I agree with the commenters yesterday, that can be tremendously off-putting. So let me just check the volume levels. Yep, I'm coming through fine. I'll move the microphone a little bit higher so I'm not breathing on it. And because we don't have the chatter going on, we can actually turn the volume up of the airplane, I guess. We'll check that again in a moment. Okay, so Shift and X puts us inside the cockpit, so we're no longer using the look around view. So I'm going to pull up a document. I put in the notes of the video. I'm going to work through my own procedure to start the airplane up. And there's a link in the notes of the video for it. So it's just make sure that I don't forget things, basically, even though I'll probably start talking and forget all about what I'm supposed to be doing. So the B36TP for 2024. And we'll work through this together. So Shift and 8 takes us to the fuel tank selector. We can see left main. If we press tab in the simulator, we can either use the tablet that's built into the simulator, in which case you can come to the aircraft section, go to flight performance, mass and balance, and you can do the fuel here. Or you can use the tablet that's built into the airplane, which is much nicer. So it allows you to select, obviously, the radio kit. Allows you to select lots of options around the airplane about, things that are on the ground, like chocks and tie downs, that kind of thing. But in payload, obviously, you can then go and set the fuel. So let's go and give ourselves a fair amount of fuel. So you can see the center of gravity moving around as we did that. So you get more options here, look, with the pitot covers, engine covers, and so on. We can open and close doors. We can also do that manually, though, so we can go and click on the door handle. And if we come back down, we get a view of the turboprop engine. So this is kind of what I was explaining. So imagine there's your normal jet engine in the middle of the nose. That's the front of the aeroplane. So the jet engine's facing backwards. So the air inlet, the air comes in, is sucked in. There's also some inlets around the outside of the aircraft as well. But anyway, it gets sucked in and driven down through here. But you'll notice this last turbine is where the fuel is injected in here. So yeah, it's enormously impressive. But notice there's no connection between the gas turbines being driven by the fuel being driven and then the second set. This is why you have inter-turbine temperature. So it's being measured in here. So then this drives a gearbox which drives the propeller, because obviously this is going to be spinning at thousands of RPM, whereas the propeller isn't quite so fast. Anyway, we've got engine condition 99% look, so where I've been playing around with it. So I'm going to fix the engine while we're here. Battery charge is good. We can have a look around. You've got electrical systems as well. We've got the cabin monitoring system, and we've got any failures. So there's loads of failures you can simulate in this airplane. We're not going to be hopefully simulating too many failures today. Okay, so if we click where the tablet came from, and we can go and get rid of the control lock. So we check the fuel tanks, and we've done that. Let's go Shift 3, which will bring us down and hide the yoke for us, which is quite clever. And then go battery on, standby alternator to on. Then we can press Shift and 5 to jump across. We want to make sure propeller is on max. Condition lever is back or off. Now we need to go and play with the controls here, look, because we've got reverse available. So on the, it's a variable pitch propeller. So what we're going to do is go to settings in the simulator, and I'm going to go and choose a profile for my throttle quadrant that should hopefully work. So I'm going to say I want the basic, throttle and propeller. Save and back. Back. So let's try it. Yeah, it's miles away, look, from where the reverse point is. There's the interesting. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just guess it today. So I'm going to set it to the off. Obviously, I would need a special profile for it to be able to do that. Okay, so we've got that set how we need it to be set. So then Shift and 3, we're about to go and start the airplane up. So beacon light goes on. Shift and 6 will bring us over to these switches. I'm just using the view keys to give you a handy reference point of where you can look from. Then the document I've written will refer to positions. Okay, so what we're going to do is go and turn the pump 1 to on, and we can hear it. Pump 2 to on, and we can hear it, and then turn it back off. Then we're going to go and put ignition to auto, and then to on, and then starter gen to start. And the moment we do that, you'll see gas gen start to accelerate, or the RPM. So you see the propeller starting to spin. When it goes through 15%, we can advance the fuel condition lever. And that injects the fuel in, which starts really spinning it up. So you can see, and it will settle back down again. So as it goes through 50%, which it's already done, we can turn the starter off, and then we can put the generator on, and the ignition can go to off as well. Okay, if we have a look outside. Okay, so now the engine's up and running, we can come back down and get on with the rest of starting the aeroplane ready. So we're going to put the nav lights on. We don't need strobe until we get to the runway. These are internals. We're not going to be taxiing just yet. So we're going to put the master avionics on, and you'll see things powering up around the cockpit, such as I've got the TDS GTN-XI installed. So we can switch this out. We saw that in the tablet within the aeroplane. We can put whatever guidance we want in. It's just this is nice and quick for me to be able to program flights. So we've got the
system test OK.
Weather radar is on standby. We'll put the transponder on standby for the moment. Okay, let's go and put our flight plan in very quickly. So we're at Boonville, and we're going to go to 060, which is Cloverdale. Cloverdale Municipal, then Hillsburg Municipal, KHES, then Charles M. Schultz, or Sonoma County, KSTS, Petaluma 069. Funny, whenever I hear Petaluma, I always think of Leo Laporte's radio show. KAPC is next. Then Nuttree KVCB over at Vacaville. KVCB. And then Sacramento. So there's a VOR at Sacramento which we'll use for navigation. So SAC, and we've got the Sacramento VOR, and then Sacramento Executive, KSAC. Okay, I'm just going to get rid of the licensing messages and put the map up, and we can see our magenta line, and we can zoom out and see our route off down across California down towards San Francisco Bay. Okay, so calibrate the altimeter, press comma to do that, to shortcut it. We can go and look at the radios. We've already checked everything's on standby, it's all good. And we can go and set our altitude for the trip. So we're just going to look on the map here we're at Boonville, aren't we? So if we show information for Boonville, we can see elevations 363 feet. And there's going to be hills along the way. If you show the profile view in LittleNavMap for your route, and you put a sensible height in here, and we say we're VFR, for example, you can see where any hills are. So we're going to need to get to at least 3,000 feet if we're going to fly on a straight line along the route. So we'll go and put in 3,000 on the altitude pre-selector. Okay, so we're ready to taxi. There is no tower at this airport, so we are on our own here. Let's just make sure that the flaps work as well. It's a fairly short runway, so we are going to use flaps for takeoff. Okay, I'm going to... This pulls forwards quite hard, even on idle on the throttle. So you're having to ride the brakes. Just to prove it, I'm just putting it into reverse to see if it will roll backwards. Not quite. Notice it takes a few seconds for the propellers to adjust pitch. Okay, let's just roll this out. And I need to go and pay attention actually. Something's going on with YouTube here. It's got this silly top chat thing going on, which I don't want to use. I just want the live chat to show up. There we go. So I'm being asked in the live stream, is the 737 MAX worth a buy at the moment? It comes with the simulator, doesn't it? Or does it not come with the basic version? It works. It's not as good as the PMDG, but then you wouldn't expect it to be. So we've got it showing 80 degrees in the cockpit. It's pretty hot, isn't it? We'll have a play with the temperature controls while we're en route. Okay, so just to remind ourselves, we've got the GPS, so that's going to set the CDI. So we're using GPS navigation. We can switch it out here. So you can see the nav marker came up there. Okay, so let's go and get the taxi light on. We've already taxied, haven't we? But put the landing lights on as well. And strobes as well. Nearly forgot. So let's go and have a look at those from outside. They're pretty bright, aren't they? Okay. So keep an eye on the torque. Look at that. I'm at just over 50% power and the torque has jumped through the roof. Coming up to 100 knots already, look. It is a rocket ship. Flaps up. So it's holding 125 knots, climbing at nearly 3,500 feet a minute. That's crazy, isn't it? That's madness, actually. So this thing's going to be a job to slow down, isn't it? Bring the RPM back and we'll just do some basic maneuvers to see how it behaves. It's interesting, the more you, it's typical of a turboprop, as you reduce RPM it actually increases torque. So let's go and put the weather radar on. We'll go and turn the transponder on as well. Now, why are we getting a sound? got a switch problem somewhere, haven't we? I'm just looking at this, unless it's a bug, of course. It does say there's a new version. Okay, let's swap out the radio kit, even though we've just put the route in, which is a bit of a shame. So you'll see this disappear in a moment and go back to a GNS 530. And there it goes. And it's still whining. Interesting. But we still have the one here, so we want to get rid of that and have an old radio. Interesting. Has it stopped it whining? No. So it wasn't the GPS causing that. So what's causing the whining?
Little River traffic, 8702, taxiing to runway 11, Little River.
Oh, it's the ITT. There we go. So I told you just have to be so careful with this. So let's have a look. This is where this gets super interesting in this aeroplane. So I'm diagnosing it while we're flying to see what we've done. Engine condition is 100%. There's nothing wrong with the engine. But we have an alarm which we're trying to get rid of. It's gone down to 98 now. That's interesting. Okay, so we should be a bit happier now. It's rolling left. Why is that? I'm putting in some opposite aileron trim. Maybe it is a trim issue. Now it's rolling right. Maybe I'm being overly sensitive to what it's trying to do. And I got warnings again. It's talk again, isn't it? Or gas gen is through the roof. What's this? So that's because we turned the generator off. Okay, this is being slightly frustrating. Oh, it's an overspeed warning. That was it all along. If we go above 180 knots, it was complaining about overspeed, which is odd because The aeroplane can go a lot faster than that. But look at that, I've pulled the power almost all the way back and it's still doing 160 knots. So that just goes to show how quick this aeroplane is. Then we were getting overspeed warnings. So you can tootle along using almost no power. There's a bit of wind throwing us around today. So we're coming in towards Cloverdale, which we are going to go visit. It's just across the hills over here. I will reprogram the route in a moment. So now we know it wasn't this making the buzzing noises. Let's see if we can go put the GTN 750 back in the cockpit, and we're overspeeding again. Look. So has it remembered the route? Of course it hasn't.
TOS system test OK.
So while we're flying in towards Cloverdale, let's go and put in D83 as our departure. And 060. And Hildesburg, sorry, KHES. Should see the airfield soon. Yep, there it is, right in front of us. KSTS is after that one. So this would be good practice, just to go through the routine of doing some circuits. And then 069 for Petaluma. KAPC. KVCB. We're just overhead where we're going. Oops, press enter. SAC for Sacramento VOR. Oh, we have to confirm it. It's the VOR we're after. And KSAC is our final destination today. Okay. There's the airfield. We're going to drop in. Landing lights on. Just underneath the wing over there. Flaps. Tablet back away now.
Sync rate pull up. Sync rate pull up. Sync rate.
Yeah, that's going to get really annoying, isn't it? I'll get rid of the warnings in a minute. It wasn't a trim warning buzzer, it was just overspeeding. Not used to an aeroplane this powerful.
$500.
Speed pickup. But also look at the torque. We went into the red then for a few seconds. It has so much torque, it's crazy. I mean, look, we can climb like you wouldn't believe. Let's do a stall test while we're here.
Pull up. Pull up. Pull up.
Interesting.
Pull up.
5 forces into the floor, it'll get the warning.
Pull up.
Inhibit tools, there we go. Okay, on to our next destination. Let's go lower across the fields. You rarely get to see the scenery, and normally if I'm flying with air traffic control, I'll be behaving myself. So it's a bit more fun.
500.
Come in low, isn't it? And actually have a look at the scenery along the way. Because normally you'd be following the rules and staying at least 1,000 feet above the ground. But if we're only on CTAF, we can kind of make our own rules up. We have got some bigger airports along the way, and we will tune to tower when we get to them. Something I can never get over about Flight Sim 2024 is just how good the detail is when you get close to the ground. It's mad. It really is. So let's just descend down gently. Between the trees here. Okay, so let's go and have a little look on the map and see exactly where we are. So we're coming up towards Hillsburg Municipal, which is just across the ridge here. So we'll just go and jump across into the next the airfield? So which way's the wind? Okay, so we'll orbit the airfield, come in the other end, which will put us into the wind. It's only 5 knots, so we could go in directly, but we're too high. So we need to manage speed and altitude. So we are slow enough already to get the gear down. I wonder if the Bonanza will spin. Should we take it up on the next leg between airports? Let's take it up to altitude and see if it'll spin. There's probably a great big sign down here on the side of the cockpit saying intentional
500
spins prohibited. So flaps down for a touch and go. Let's go, at least get it going the right direction, and then we'll take it to altitude. So obviously this thing, because it's a turboprop, has a much higher ceiling than even the turbocharged version. So I think it's about 16,000 feet for the normally aspirated version, 25,000 for the supercharged version, and this, or supercharger. Oh, no, turbocharger, so I get the words right. The turbocharged version can get to about 25,000 feet ceiling. This can go beyond that. Obviously, gas turbine's a different story. But we're going to, while we're en route to the next airfield, give this thing some altitude to play with. Seriously quick, but that becomes its own problem. You're kind of on a very narrow window on approach. So let's lift this in the air there. We're coming up to 5,000 feet, which is plenty to go and force it into a spin from. Going that way, let's use the rudder and help it. No, it's not going to spin at all. Very, very docile. Let's see if we can make it do it. Almost. How about the other way? Oh, it snapped in quickly. It's not going to go though. I'm keeping it on the airspeed. No. So now it's overspeeding. There we go, the speed's coming back down. Not a problem. go back in the direction we're supposed to be going. Be interesting to see if the HSI drift's doing these crazy spins and incipient spin, but it wasn't going to spin. So we've got another airfield coming up over here. Look. Let's have a look, make sure we're going the right way, and we are. So next one is Charles M. Schultz, Sonoma County. So this being a bigger airfield, we are going to go and change over to. Let me get rid of this. We are going to change over to. I'll get rid of that. That's the procedure, by the way. So Sonoma County Airport, let's go to Tower. So we are November, oh, this is a good point actually. We'll have the wrong identity inside, say intentions. So our actual identity is November, so 6060 Echo. So November 6060 Echo. Auto. Okay. Sonoma Tower, Bonanza 6060 Echo, approaching from the northwest, requesting touch and go.
Bonanza 60 Echo, runway 14, left closed, traffic approved. Report midfield each time. Cleared, touch and go.
So,
60 Echo, runway 14, cleared for the option.
Runway 14. Touch and go approved, runway 14, 60 Echo. So, they gave us more instruction than that, didn't they? Left closed, traffic approved. So we need to orbit the airfield to get into that traffic pattern. So that means turning left on final to come into 14. We're the wrong side of the airport. So we'll fly around it, come downwind and go in 14. You see there's an aeroplane just queuing up anyway, so it'll take us a few minutes to fly around the outside. So probably hear the tower talking to him in a moment. Watching him on the apron down there. So we're staying out of his way.
SkyWest 3433, holding short 14, ready for departure.
That's him.
SkyWest 3433, winds 330 at 5, runway 14, cleared for takeoff. Cleared for takeoff 14, SkyWest 3433.
Niner X-ray, welcome to Santa Rosa, contact ground on 121.9er. Point Niner X-ray. Niner X-ray, you're leaving my airspace. Squawk VFR, frequency change approved. Roger, Squawk VFR and frequency change approved, Niner X-ray, have a good day.
He didn't hang around, did he? He's leaving straight away. Tower, Bonanza 60 Echo, downwind for touch and go, runway 14.
SkyWest 3433, contact departure. Departure, SkyWest 3433.
500.
Tower Bonanza 60 Echo on finals, runway 14 for touch and go.
Bonanza 60 Echo, winds calm, runway 14, cleared for the option.
Niner X-ray, welcome to Santa Rosa. Contact ground on 121.9er when you're ready. Ground on 121.9, Niner X-ray.
Okay, on we go to the next airfield. So we'll stay on the frequency with them, but we could go back to CTAF fairly soon. We'll see what they say to us as we fly away from them. If they hand us off or we do it ourselves. This thing is just so fast, look, even at 50% power. It's nudging, overspeeding. Okay. So obviously we have got an autopilot and we could use it to stay on track here. Autopilot's just down here. So should we give it a shot? So we're only at 1500 feet at the moment. So let's go and use some of that power to take us up to 3000. It's 2000. So if we go engage autopilot and then say nav mode, it should just skip gently left towards the track. We're overspeeding again, by the way.
Cessna 263, welcome to Santa Rosa. Contact ground on 121.9er.
So we're going to go back to CTAF.
121.9er.
I think their radio was playing up. When you hear that distorted, garbled voices, it's down to a particular chipset in microphones that's very, very common in lots of hardware. And people call it siloning. And the easiest way to fix it is just unplug it's usually on a USB microphone. The easiest way to do it is to unplug it and plug it back in again. And it just reboots the hardware. Yeah, I'm not sure who coined the term siloning, but it seems to have stuck. So we can see on the map here 8 miles to run. And it's zooming in as we go because the GTN-XI is very clever like that. So as you're flying along, this is a map of your glide distance should you have an engine failure. So you can see it's wrapping around this hill. It's very clever, isn't it? And there's the runway obviously projected across. miles to run. Don't think this is a staffed airfield, so no, it's Petalima, isn't it? So if we go and have a look, no, it's just a Unicom. Okay, let's turn the autopilot off. There's the town. So what we're interested in seeing here is where the wind's from here, so runway 29. So we'll do an orbit, descend as we go, lose speed as we go. Use the gear for some drag. Dropping to 120, we can deploy flaps at 120, which will give us more drag. We can also side slip, of course, which will slow us down very quickly. San Francisco Bay out in the distance, look. There's the Marin Headlands over on the right there. Cut this one a bit short. We're coming in kind of Spitfire style.
500.
Okay, I think it's Vacaville next, isn't it? Which is where the nut tree place is. Which I read an article about this on the internet some time ago. There was a look back. I think I'm right in saying that it's the site of the first service state, or what we would now think of as a rest area on a major route. Just check this on the map before I go and claim something's not true. Yeah, so, oh no, it's Napa County first, Nuttry is the next one. But yeah, when we get to Nuttry, it's an interesting place. It's what essentially became the... It started out as a farm that was struggling, and they started selling at the side of the road, and then they realised they were onto something, so they expanded it. And it became essentially the first ever service area as we now know them in the modern world. Okay, let's keep this at 2,000 feet. overspeeding. While we're doing this, I'm just going to go and quickly correct this. The computer's being an absolute so-and-so. So, we got a comment here saying, curious if pilots not using say intentions are heard by pilots using it. No. The only people you're going to hear if you're using say intentions are people using say intentions and the AI pilots in the airspace around you that are being injected by say intentions. So if we go and have a look around, I'm quite interested actually. There's not many around, is there? I was expecting more traffic around, to be honest. Oh, there's a few further down over the Bay Area, look. Well, that's commercial traffic. There's some further out this way, just not being simulated near us. Somebody manoeuvring down there. C401. We're just tootling along towards Napa County. So Napa County does have a tower, so let's go and have a look. Tower 118700. So let's do this by hand for a change. We're approaching them from the west, aren't we? Napa Tower, Bonanza 60E approaching from the west, requesting touch and go. Seven. Try that again, shall we?
Bonanza 60 Echo, runway 6, left closed, traffic approved, report midfield each time, cleared touch and go.
Runway 6, left traffic, left circuits approved, approved for touch and go, 60 Echo. So runway 06, so if we have a look on the map, there's 6 and we have to go left again. So we can either come away, that's probably the better idea. Let's go turn away from the airfield. So we want to be left traffic. So in other words, turning left to come into 6. So we're going to turn away from the airfield. So I'll give you some idea on the map what I'm doing here. We're going to turn in a moment. We're going to go out this way, then double back and fly 240 degrees. Do a teardrop, and then announce we're downwind for runway 06. Okay?
Baron 39er Golf Sierra. Contact departure on 127.8.
Over to departure 127.8, Baron 739er Golf Sierra.
Baron 39er Golf Sierra. Welcome to Napa. Contact ground on 121.7.
So fairly steep turn, round to 240 degrees. Out. There's the runway over there, look. Tower Bonanza 60 Echo, downwind for touch and go, runway 60. What 60 here? Oh, 06, sorry. Runway 06, sorry.
60 Echo, runway 6 cleared for the option.
Base 1,000 feet. It's a big airfield, isn't it?
$500.
Piper 96 Tango, welcome to Napa. Contact ground on 121.7.
On 121.7, Piper Niner. Thanks.
Piper 96 Tango, contact departure.
Going to departure, Piper 96 Tango.
Okay, so we're going to carry on then towards Nut Tree this time. We need to clear these hills. So we can either follow the road and stay low or go straight over the top. Let's go over the top. We've got this aeroplane that can climb like nobody's business, so open the power up, just keeping an eye on the torque. We don't want to end up with a chip warning. Basically, if you over stress the gearbox to the propeller, you start to shear off bits of metal, and there's a magnetic sensor that will detect bits of metal and you get a chip warning light up if you've done that. We can cause it just by flying, maximum power for a few minutes and wreck the aeroplane. Okay, so we're heading off across the hills here towards Nut Tree. Let's turn off the sensoring. So Travis Air Force Base is over to our right. Let's go and have a look. Can we see it from here? Yep. Presuming that's it over there. And we're overspeeding. I left the landing light on, haven't I? Oh no, I did the last touch and go with that landing light. That's my bad. So let's go back to Common Traffic Advisory frequency while we're flying out towards Nut Tree. I don't think it has a tower. Let's go and double check before we get there. No, multi-com. It's fine. So where was Travis? Nice looking airplane, isn't it? Okay. Vacaville. So there's the old nut tree site alongside the road. Yeah, super interesting article. I'll see if I can find it and I'll post a link to it on the blog or something when I put this out on my Substack blog. Because yeah, the story of nut tree was really fascinating. Let's go and have a little look on LittleNavMap and see which way the wind is. There is another aeroplane just north of it, look. So we may even see them on here. There they are, look. They're 1,000 feet above us. Just the other side of the airfield. So there's the runway. So we're going to go straight in. Getting the warning about the gear because I've pulled the throttle back too far. There's the gear. There must be a school, I guess. It's at the football ground. Okay, let's get us under control. Should we put the yoke back on?
500.
I'm just side slipping to lose some height quickly. Okay, off we go towards Sacramento. So let's have a play with the autopilot. We are at 1200 feet, slowly climbing. If we engage vertical speed mode, we can pull this to do the vertical speed and say 500 feet a minute. We're going a little bit too fast, so we'll pull the power back. So if we told this to go at 1,000 feet a minute, we can push that back in. Okay, so we're heading in towards Sacramento, and we're going to go and tune the nav radio 11030 before we get there. Okay. I would also go and set the heading bug to the direction we are going and go to heading mode on the autopilot. Which allows us then to switch over the CDI mode. So you can see that's now gone to nav, which means this is using the ILS, or the nav radio, that's going to help us with the ILS in a moment. So we're going to go and set this to 19 degrees on the course. So there's our offset of the direction we're going versus the direction the runway is. Yeah, so it's that. We want to come in here at about, so what's the elevation of the airfield? Let's go and show information for Sacramento Executive. And elevation is 20 feet, so we want to be about 1,000 feet less than we are right now. So we'll go 1,000 feet, bring us down, please Mr. Autopilot, engage vertical speed mode, 1,000 feet a minute, and pull the power all the way back. Somebody wants to see the localizer trick. Well, yeah, that's good fun to do, isn't it? Okay. So give me a moment. I'll need to switch navigation kit to do it. It's over here, isn't it? Yeah, we've got it over here. Pick a runway that doesn't have. So we've got Vortec here. That should work with it. So say we wanted to land on runway 36 here at Franklin Field. So let me just, before we get there then, so we're at 1,000 feet, let's go and turn ourselves around. So we've got a request that we're fulfilling here to go and show you how to do something. So we'll set ourselves going south. So we're just going to turn down this way. So what we're going to do, we're going to change this computer over here. It's called an RNAV computer, so it's set to RNAV at the moment. It's major mode. Look, we set to RNAV. We're going to set the frequency to this station 11520. So we're changing the frequency here 11520. Let me press data, and it moves the cursor from frequency down to radial. So what we need to do is measure from here very accurately to where we want our reference point to be, and it's there. Okay, so 129 degrees, 10.2 miles. So that needs to be 129 degrees. And then we press data, and we want 10.2. 10, and then you can click this, can't you, to pull it out. 2.2 miles. So that's now set the RNAV radio to offset from that station on that radial by that distance. And then we can come down here. We can do the RNAV off of it as well. Sorry, the DME off of that. But also we can flick the switch here. So instead of using nav radios, we're going to be using RNAV radios. So then we need to set this to the runway direction, which is 1 degree. So the game we're playing here is we are making our own, that's slightly out, isn't it? So we're making our own line. It's 3 degrees, but close enough. So we're coming in over here. So let's go and turn. So we need to set this to 1 degree, by the way. So we're in heading mode, remember, on the autopilot. So 1 degree is the actual runway direction, but we're going to go and fly over towards it. So I'm just turning this way. So if we go measure, oops, from where we are here, if we measure, if we came in sort of 100 degrees-ish, which is about what we've got on the heading bug. So we're just turning in towards. So what we've done on the RNAV computer is send, based on where this station is that we can see, measure a distance and a radial away from it, and use that point. Yeah, but to do it, we have to flick this switch over. So instead of using the nav radio kit, it's using the RNAV computer. We've got another exceedance on the torque. I've damaged the aeroplane, probably. One 1520, wasn't it? You can have multiple frequencies and distances set up. So we're just flying in across the map towards our little airfield where we've set up RNAV. So just speed this up a bit. I'm going to hold Alt and R down on my keyboard and press 1, 2, 3 and speed time up for a moment. 1, 2, 3, turn it back down again. Do it again. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so what we're going to do now, you can see this, the CDI is coming in already. We're going to turn ourselves onto an intercept course. So you have to remember, this airfield we're approaching has no localizer. So we've invented one out of nowhere, based on a nearby VOR station. So we'll do this the old way. So this is telling us 6 miles out. So we can go for vertical speed mode. We've got altitude armed at 0. We'll go vertical speed, and we'll tell it to start coming down. Can we set this? It's going to be a so-and-so, isn't it? Vertical speed. Yeah, it's not going to let us do it. Well, there we go. So we want to set the target altitude to 0. We're just coming into the centre line now, look, of the course. So then we can pull this out to do vertical speed, hopefully. Engage vertical speed mode and start coming down. And start slowing down. And we'll bring the heading bug round. It's not super accurate, but it's good enough. So this airfield has no radio kit. So we're using the RNAV computer to do it based on a beacon that's 10 miles away. And that's telling us, look, we're on track for that course. A radial into a non-existent beacon. Okay, let's go and let's redo a touch and go here. Just to finish the story off. If you had atrocious weather, and
500.
It's a really nice trick to be able to do it. Obviously you don't get a glide slope, you only get a localizer. But you can use the distance on the distance measuring equipment to figure that out. So on a 3-degree glide slope, you know 8 miles is going to be 2,500 feet above the runway. So it's important to know airfield elevation. So 4 miles will be 1,200 foot above. 2 miles will be 600 foot above, and so on. See, there's a bit of a crosswind, not much though. Yeah, so RNAV does have RNAV approach mode as well. I think it's more to do with accuracy. It doesn't give you a glide slope, I don't think. It's to do with the how accurate the CDI is. So if you put on approach mode, you're essentially magnifying the CDI. Does that make sense? Okay, let's go back out where we were supposed to be. Where did all this mist come from? So we wanted 110.3, didn't we? Which we've still got on the nav radio. So we need to switch this back to nav and put the course back to, what was it? 19 degrees magnetic. So about there. So we're at 90 degrees to the track, and we are all over the place. So we can see we're below the glide slope. We'll use approach mode on the autopilot just so people get to see it. Although I like flying, so I'd rather hand fly it than use the autopilot any day of the week. I know some people love putting on approach mode on and letting the airplane come in all on its own, but I don't. So we need to go and switch the fuel over the other way. We've got an imbalance in the aeroplane now. If I can get this to behave itself. Okay. Head tracking isn't all it's cracked up to be sometimes. I'm not sure if you can transfer fuel in this aeroplane. Probably not. I don't think it's got any cross-feed pumps. So let's go and talk to Sacramento Executive Tower. We're coming in from over here, look, towards the beacon. So we're coming in from the southwest. Sacramento Tower, Beechcraft, 60 Echo, approaching from the southwest, 2,000 feet, requesting full stop landing. give us runway 02.
Bonanza 60 Echo, runway 12, enter left base. Winds 350 at 9er, runway 12, cleared to land.
Ah, they're not going to allow us to use ILS after all of that. Let's ask them if we can. Bonanza 60 Echo requesting runway 2, if possible.
Bonanza 60 Echo, runway 2, left traffic approved. Report midfield, left downwind. Winds 350 at 9er, runway 2, cleared to land.
Tower, any chance 60 Echo can do an ILS landing runway 02?
Bonanza 60 Echo, runway 0 is not available. Available runways are 2 and 12. Runway 2 has ILS, RNAV, and visual approaches.
Going for runway 02 ILS 60 Echo. Let's just tell them what we're doing and see what happens.
Bonanza 60 Echo, runway 2 ILS approach approved. Report established on the localizer.
Yay, there we go. So we just need to be a bit more confident and tell them what we're doing rather than ask. That's a failing of AI, by the way. One of the rules with AI is if you want it to appear to be somebody, you ask it to be that person, and it changes its entire persona. So if you go into Gemini or Copilot or anything, start your request with as a, and tell it who it is, and it will change the way it presents its wording to you. There we go, look, so we've got we've just gone through the centre line and we're high. So we're just looking at the instruments down here. Let's get the gear down. Let's get the landing gear on. Whoa! Look at that diving for the floor. So I'm going to play the age-old game of I lean into the instruments and then we look up at the last moment. At 900 feet. We've got radar altitude as well, which is showing 500 down the bottom left there. Going below the glide slope.
$500.
Whoa, look at that sink all of a sudden. It's quite turbulent, actually. Being thrown around a little bit. And now it's calming down. This is a common feature of the flight sim. I hadn't noticed it until somebody said that the closer you get to the airfield, it tends to stabilise. But I think that's because you've got the flat area of the airfield versus all of the trees and buildings typically on approach.
Citation 3 Alpha Mike, contact departure.
Contact departure, Citation 3 Alpha Line.
Cessna 39 Golf Sierra, you're leaving my airspace. Frequency change approved.
Frequency change approved. Cessna 739 Golf Sierra. Good day.
Wind just tried to get under the wing then. Wind is getting up.
Bonanza 60 Echo, welcome to exec. Contact ground on 125.0.
Contacting ground 125.0, Bonanza 60 Echo. Yeah, the windsock was the telltale there. There was quite a strong crosswind in the final moments. So let's stop here. And change to 125.0, wasn't it? And let's have a look, just to get our bearings. Oh my word, look at all the parking spots. Sacramento ground, Bonanza 60 Echo, requesting taxi to general aviation parking.
Bonanza 60 Echo, taxi to GA parking stand 27 via Alpha. Have a good day.
27 via Alpha, 60 Echo. So, we are on Alpha. That one over there. He did say 27, didn't he? Parking stand 27. Have we really got to go? There's nobody here. Why are we having to park on an exact spot? It's nuts, isn't it? Can they not just have said to at your choice? Go and do some donuts in the middle of the parking area. Okay, so how do we go about shutting the engine down on this thing? Just cut the fuel off, I guess. So it'd be interesting to see if there's any sort of special animation.
Requesting clearance to LAX.
1 second while I grab the paperwork.
Clear to Los Angeles, radar vector SAC, then as file, climb and maintain, 4,000, expect flight level 170, 10 minutes after departure. Contact departure 127.4 when ready, squawk 4, departure on 127.4, squawk 4427, expect runway 20, November Alpha.
So let's go and turn some things off, shall we? Aircon off, master avionics off, generators off, and all the lights off. I think that's it. Open the window. That's Mary. It's a really nicely made aeroplane though, isn't it? So let's go and have a scoot around and see what they've done. Very cool. We didn't look earlier at some of the static elements either, did we? So let's go into payload and put the wheel chocks in, the pitot covers, the engine covers, and the external power. So you get all these nice bits and pieces. The covers are good, aren't they? But ties onto the propeller as well to stop it windmilling. Very cool. I don't think it draws crew into the cockpit. It has that shake though, look. A lot of aeroplanes do that. I think it's a bug in the simulator. Can you see that? It's just juddering gently. Load with covers and chocks deployed. A VR tablet static. So it does have some state saving, so you do need to be a little bit careful. We can put the lock back in place. Close the door. Put the tablet back away. So there we go. That was the... No, let me get this right. The B36TP. So the Bonanza turboprop variant, which I forgot existed until somebody emailed me today. So I thought I have to go and take that for a fly, and I wrote up the procedure. So the link is in the notes for starting the airplane up. It's fairly straightforward. The only thing you need to be aware of is when you put the starter, obviously ignition goes on, starter goes on, and then you keep an eye on this gauge here. So when it comes to 15%, you introduce the fuel, and when it gets to 50%, you turn the starter off and turn the generator on. So it's fairly straightforward, and if you're anything like me, you've wrecked the aeroplane, because I was busy playing around with so many things en route. Yeah, we took 3% off the engine life, which was not ideal. But we have a magic button here where we can fix it. But that doesn't reset this little computer down here, so I guess you just press it a couple of times to reset it. It warns you. You get a light as well up here. You can probably see it with the light shining on it. One of these will say chip. I'm not sure whereabouts it is. Chip detect, there it is. So if you go and over torque the gearbox enormously, you can see it there. Look, there's a magnetic sensor that looks for chips of metal in the oil. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully you enjoyed that today. So that was the... That's interesting actually. Before we go, I've turned the power off. Oh, we've got the generator on, haven't we? I'm just wondering why we've still got lights on. We turned on the external power, so if we turn that off, yeah, we've lost power now. Okay. Fantastic aeroplane though, isn't it? Really good. So when I get some more time later in the week, I'll have a look at the Baron as well. So yeah, we'll take the twin out for a fly, so the Black Square Baron. I'm going to leave it there. Hope you enjoyed that, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.